What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Crossover U College Hoop Stock Podcast, which you can find, as always, on the Crossover channel. My name is Kanaye Tesoro, and today I'm just here to talk about a guy who's been the subject of a lot of videos on this channel recently, that being Alex Condon. Gator Boys stay hot. Alex Condon announced his return to Florida for this upcoming season, that being his junior year. He originally with entered his name into the draft and was kind of taking this process, dragging it out a little bit longer than what I kind of expected. But he was hearing feedback that he probably could have been a first round pick, but I definitely feel that was still very fresh in the eyes of scouts and NBA GMs, just how he kind of struggled in the NCAA tournament. I definitely think his injury history didn't help either, just considering the really tough injury he had 2 years ago and how he missed a few games this past year with Florida. But Todd Golden came out and said early in the process that Alex Condon knows a number of what he'd be making in NIL if he returns, and that he's going to be an important part of a Florida program that wants to go back to back, replicate what they did in 06, 07. And it really just came down to what Alex wanted. I definitely think there is still the chance that he plays his way into being a first round pick next year in the next draft. But of course, he needs to have a big year and probably needs to perform a little bit better in the tournament next year than what he did this past year. But I'm going to talk about the decision in this episode today. But before we get into that, if you like this podcast or anything else you see on this channel, it really does help if you all can engage with our videos in any way you can, whether it's liking them, subscribing to our channel, or just telling other people about it. So let's get into it. I do very much feel that Alex Condon made the right decision. I think he needed another year in college just to be able to prove that he is a pro in being able to kind of do more on his own. Of course, Florida is still going to have a lot of talent on this team. I definitely feel that they are a top five team now, just considering what they've done in the last week and a half, and in getting Boogie Fland out of the transfer portal from Arkansas, and now returning Alex Condon. But I definitely think that you could point to him being able to play a lot more off of how dynamic that backcourt was this past year for Florida with the likes of Walter Clayton Jr., Elijah Martin, and Will Richards. Now they are going to be playing with another really, really elite backcourt. At least that's what we think right now. Um, in that backcourt containing the likes of Boogie Fland and Xavier Lee, who I think are going to be really, really good, playing off of each other for Todd Golden and Florida this upcoming season. Of course, they also brought back Tommy Howe, who I honestly think will be the All-American best player maybe on this team this year. That's my take for Florida going to next season. But Alex Condon was a really, really good player as well this past year, specifically in SEC play. For the year, he averaged 10.6 points per game, 7.5 rebounds, nearly 2.5 assists, nearly 50% from the field, 32% from three. I definitely would like to see a little bit more consistency in the 3-point shot. I think that's something that's really going to boost his how scouts view him, just in the eyes of how they evaluate talent in jumping to the pro level. But I will say, I do think an aspect of Alex's game that's really, really overlooked is his playmaking. I think he does an exceptional job at when he has his back to the basket of having an eye for backdoor cutters, or being able to get guys really great looks off of screens. He does really good in pick and pop scenarios where he gets swung the ball off a screen and he's able to find a cutter off of a ghost screen that someone else sets. And I think there were points in the NCAA tournament where the playmaking of both him and Thomas Howe really kept Florida in the game. Specifically, I believe it was both the Auburn and the national championship game, both Final Four games, that those two guys, their playmaking is what really kept them in the game early. The national championship, also Will Richards getting hot the way he did, also helped with that too. But again, I think Alex Condon is a really, really talented playmaker for someone of his size, at the center spot. And he is going to be one of the anchors for a front court that's going to be really, really big. I mean, in terms of just the size they bring. Of course, we talked about on this podcast, and I'm sure if you follow college basketball and other people who cover it, I'm sure they've talked about how Todd Golden has come out and said that he wants Thomas Howe to play the three this upcoming year. And that would make it so that Alex Condon would more than likely be playing at the four and Ruben Chiniglu would be playing at the five. And 3 through 5, I mean, that's a really tall, lengthy front court to have. And you could definitely make the argument that they have one of the best front courts in the country. I'm putting them up there with the likes of both St. John's with Bryce Hopkins and Zuby Ejiofor, along with Michigan and what they could potentially have with the Axel Landenberg, Adimara, and I forget the other guy's name off the top of my head, but that video about Yaxel will be coming soon as well, so definitely be on the lookout for that. But yeah, I think this Florida team has a really, really good chance to put themselves in a position to go back to back with now with Alex back. Again, I do think it's a matter of consistency and showing to NBA scouts that he is capable of showing up on big stages. I very much feel that if he's able to replicate what he did throughout the course of SEC play, throughout the entire through the entirety of this upcoming season, then I think that's going to put him in a position to potentially be a late first round, late lottery type of pick in next year's NBA draft. But again, I really do think it was the right choice for Alex Condon to come back to school. I love the way this Florida team is shaping out, and I know me and Josh did a segment about it on an episode. I want to say 2 or 3 weeks ago at this point, where this Florida team on paper honestly looks more believable, or that's not the right word, but on paper they look like they have a better chance of going back to back than perhaps 23, 24 UConn did. And honestly, I can definitely see that. I think there's a lot of parallels between both those teams. Thomas Howe I've talked about in the past, where I definitely think he's kind of on that same. He's in the same situation that Klingon was after his freshman year, where he had great spurts of moments throughout the NCAA tournament, coming off the bench, energy plays, glue guy plays, and now he's in a position where he's going to be in a starting role and could potentially be an All American or All League player, and that might be just enough to get him into the lottery. And I definitely think Thomas has a chance to do that. I think Thomas probably would have been a first round pick if he stayed in the draft this year. And again, I think he's going to be the All American on this team this year. But Alex Condon, I believe, will have a really, really good year. I think we'll see a jump in his play. If I had to guess, I would say we see something similar to likes of 14, 8, and 4 out of Alex this upcoming year. I really do think his playmaking is going to take a further jump from how good it honestly already is playing out the 4 spot. Um, and yeah, I just think they're going to need him to score a little bit more, just considering they lost everything that they did in the backcourt. They kind of need guys to make leaps. Those guys being him, Chinny Liu, and Howe. And yeah, I mean, I think all three of those guys in the front court are going to get a lot of open looks, just considering the playmaking that both Boogie Flan and Xavier Lee bring. Both who averaged 5 or more assists at their previous schools, being Arkansas and Princeton, respectively. You also bring in AJ Brown, who also brings a lot of playmaking, and I'm really excited to see how he plays in that jump from the mid major level. And again, I really, really love the job that Todd Golden's done. He is the analytics darling of the sport right now, and everything he does is meticulously calculated. It's all done for a reason. It's all done intentionally. Getting Alex Condon back was huge for them. I'm super excited to see how Todd Golden rolls out this front court with these 3 giants that could be potentially all play next to each other in the starting lineup, combined with how dynamic both those guards and AJ Brown is going to be. So again, really, really good. Getting Alex Condon back for Florida. I think it was the right choice by him. I fully expect him to have a huge year. Definitely better tournament than what he did this past year. I'm really excited to see that this Florida Gators program play. Super excited to see him play UConn too in the Jimmy V Classic. I think that's going to be a great game, rematch of the second round game in this past year's NCAA tournament. The last 2 national champions playing against each other. So I'm super psyched to see that game. I think it's going to be really, really good. But yeah, I think that's going to take care of everything I have for this episode on Alex Condon's return today. And until the next episode, I'll see you all next time.